but he shouldn't be fighting at 160 or 156. He's a 147 fighter. What couldn't he do around the world? He's been destroyed by the people who are handling him.
I know he's gone to the hospital. I've heard he's got a broken jaw. So I wish him a speedy recovery. I also want to thank Senior for turning up.
I'm just blown away by what Conor Benn did tonight. Respect to Eubank. I mean, he was incredibly tough as well, but I just can't believe the heart and guts. I've never seen a fighter.
They fought right to the end. It's an absolute great fight. They fought with pride, determination, and they wanted to win because they were fighting for their history, their family history, and it was just an amazing event. It was one of the best fights I've seen for a long, long time.
The boxing showdown between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn has left everyone stunned, with the world buzzing with spectacular reactions. Reacting to how immensely this fight turned into a star-studded event, Duke McKenzie shared his thoughts, acknowledging it as a one-of-a-kind boxing spectacle. He highlighted the presence of so many celebrities in the audience as a testament to the magnitude and impact of the showdown.
This fight wasn't a fight, was it? It was an event. These are stadium fighters, which is why everybody that was involved in it is jumping up and down now, because they got somewhere to hang their hat. You can put this on again and they'll get another 62, 64, even 100,000 seater. It doesn't matter where they put the fight on, they'd sell it out. I can't remember the last time there was a non-title fight or even a title fight with that many celebrities in the audience. It's like everybody wanted to be there.
This fight was an epic showdown of a long-time feud between two fighters, but what made it even more intriguing was the unexpected entry of Chris Eubank Sr., which left everyone stunned. Carl Froch shared his thoughts on how it surprised everyone, turning the fight into an intense battle filled with emotion and aggression.
It was emotional, it was exciting. When you saw Chris Eubank Sr. step out of that car, backing his son, we didn't know if he was going to be there. I just thought that made the night, at the start of the night, to see Eubank Sr., after everything that's been said, all the back and forth and all the interviews he's done. He was on this channel, Froch on Fighting, last week, and he said the fight won't happen, he's not going, he can't stand by his son. But anyway, he turned up and he was there like he should have been for his son on what was his biggest night of his life.
While the fight saw both men giving their all, throwing powerful punches, and striving for victory, it ultimately turned out to be Chris Eubank Jr. who came out on top. Reflecting on this, Carl Froch stated that in his view, the right man won, and that man was none other than Chris Eubank Jr. He had predicted earlier a scorecard of 116 to 112, anticipating a close fight, but emphasized that what truly matters is who won, and that without a doubt was Chris Eubank Jr.
Chris Eubank Jr. was the winner. It was the right winner. I thought he'd won. I thought he won by the same scorecard, 116, 112. I had it exactly the same. And don't get me wrong, it was a close fight, but the right man won, and that's all that matters.
Carl Froch did foresee this fight being closely contested, noting that both Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. had been out of the ring for nearly 2 years. Despite their inactivity, he praised how both fighters performed even better than expected, with particular recognition for Chris Eubank Jr., who consistently finished stronger throughout the 12 rounds.
But I want to just say that this fight was what it was levels-wise. Conor Benn's he's fought twice in 2 years. Same with Chris Eubank Jr. Both boxed twice in 2 years. So they're both ring rusty. They're both out of practice. I know Eubank's had over 30 fights and Benn's had like 23 fights. But when you're inactive, you're not fight ready. You're not flowing. Your timing and your distance and everything's out the window. And this fight was like that from the start. Eubank Jr. also was evidently tired at the weight. He went 12 rounds and he finished strong, which we'll get into.
Fraser Clark also shared his thoughts on the fight, acknowledging that it was a closely contested battle. However, he stated there was no doubt about Chris Eubank Jr.'s victory. He described the fight as a fantastic showdown that boxing fans had eagerly anticipated and confidently asserted that a rematch is inevitable.
No, good fight, good fight. You don't want nothing more as a boxing fan. That was fantastic. I enjoyed every second of it. Good fight. Happy.
What did you think of Eubank's performance? Do you think he won the fight?
Yeah, I think he won the fight. It's a good fight though. Really close, really close. Everything was. I think it's a good fight.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think Eubank should do, or do you think they should run it back, Fraser?
Of course, it's a business. They can run it back, man.
What's your plans going forward, Fraser, just before we...
After the fight, Ben Shalom couldn't contain his happiness, stating that the fight had been phenomenal. He mentioned that he had already expected it to be an easier one for Chris Eubank Jr. He went on to emphasize that the sheer determination from Eubank Jr. was evident, and after 6 to 7 rounds, he truly took control of the pace.
Unbelievable. Look, I have to say, I expected it. A lot of people were picking Ben, but I expected it to be an easier fight for Eubank Jr. It became an absolute war. It became a classic. I think after 6 or 7 rounds, Chris really realised he was in a serious fight, and it just became about grit and determination. They were both swinging from the rooftops, literally. But over the moon, absolutely over the moon. To see Chris get his hand raised, and it's been a difficult camp, it's been a difficult time. I think everyone's seen the pictures, everyone's seen the stories, everyone's seen what he's had to go through.
Reflecting on the sudden arrival of Chris Eubank Sr., Ben asserted that they had been asking him to come for sure, but he had been hesitant to confirm it. However, once he showed up, it completely transformed the fight into an amazing story. He emphasized that this was something Chris Eubank Jr. truly deserved.
Incredible. We talk about an 18-foot ring. Half the time I don't think they moved out of 6 or 7 feet. It was unbelievable stuff. I think for any fan watching boxing for the first time, what an advert. Chris Eubank Sr. turning up an hour before, just the place went absolutely wild.
Did you know about that?
Listen, we've been trying all week, and we sort of had an inkling a couple hours before, but with Senior you never know. He might say yes, he might say no, he might change his mind. He got here, he was here for his son, and what a story. And yeah, delighted for Chris Eubank Jr., he deserves it.
Reflecting on his amazement, Spencer Farron also weighed in, noting how things took a shift. Regardless of how it went, he believed Conor Benn was carrying more weight than necessary, but he credited him for putting his heart into the fight. Farron praised Chris Eubank Jr. for turning the entire situation into a wild, unpredictable ride. He also noted that both fighters have remained consistent in sustaining their father's legacies.
Regardless of wherever it was, and it is like one of those kind of ones, everybody heard my prediction, because Conor Benn is not a concussive puncher. It seems to be at 154. He's up against a big middleweight, right? That's number one. Conor Benn was too desperate trying to knock out a guy. He was loading up too much, but he fought his heart out, and all the credit in the world should be given to Conor Benn. Chris Eubank Jr., all the credit in the world should be given to him, because we was looking at this like, oh, well, can he do the weight? What's going to happen now? He's going to get knocked out, all the rest of it. And I mean, I had a real strong feeling that this was going to go points. It did go points. Both men honored their father's names.
Furthermore, Spencer noted that the last few rounds were nothing short of classic and epic. He asserted that they turned the entire fight into a movie, and emphasized that whenever a movie is made about the rivalry between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, these rounds will surely take center stage.
Those last 3 rounds were classic, they were epic. It's something that you could put in a movie, right? And when they do the movie of Eubank Benn rivalry, they are going to make a film about this. You do realize that, right? That was very emotional.
He also highlighted that the emotional impact of it all, especially with the entry of Chris Eubank Sr., made the entire experience even more intense. At the same time, Chris Eubank Sr. made a strong statement regarding Conor Benn and his team. He applauded Benn for his tremendous performance, but emphasized that the weight division he was fighting in was not suitable for him. Eubank Sr. went on to criticize Benn's management for not handling the situation properly, urging them to do their job correctly.
Well, you know, I was always going to be here for my son, irrespective of what you thought. I mean, it's a show. So suspense is part of the game. Now, the performance, championship rounds, standing toe-to-toe, the credit I'm going to give to Conor. I told you he was a superior fighter, but he shouldn't be fighting at 160 or 156. He's a 147 fighter. What couldn't he do around the world? He's been destroyed by the people who are handling him, and they have to be brought to account. Do your job. Do your job. Do your job.
It's great to see you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Moving on, this fight not only marked one of the best in boxing history, but also showcased Conor Benn's aggressive and impressive performance despite the defeat. He even managed to hurt Chris Eubank Jr. to the extent that Jr. had to be taken to the hospital. Revealing this, Benn went on to wish him a speedy recovery and also expressed his gratitude to Chris Eubank Sr. for showing up.
I mean, I wish him well. You know, I know he's gone to the hospital. I've heard he's got a broken jaw. So I wish him a speedy recovery. I also want to thank Senior for turning up, because this really is a family affair, and it wouldn't have been what it was without Senior.
Eddie Hearn, who had been confident in Conor Benn's victory, also shared his thoughts. While the scorecards have sparked plenty of discussion, he asserted that this is the first time he isn't bothered by them. He explained that Conor Benn's performance was so tremendous, he feels proud of him for stepping up to a bigger challenge and giving everything in his pursuit of victory.
Yeah, I'm just so proud of him, honestly. Probably the first time that I can't even be bothered to give my opinion on the scorecards, because I'm just blown away by what Conor Benn did tonight. Respect to Eubank. I mean, he was incredibly tough as well, but I just can't believe the heart and guts. I've never seen a fighter dig in that situation with the size of that challenge, literally, and just never stop trying to win.
Eddie went on to emphasize that the sheer determination Conor showed to win was truly exceptional, calling it the kind of fight that people need to see. He noted that Conor Benn has become the people's champion, regardless of the result. He also reflected on how some people even believed it was Conor who actually won the fight.
He just never stopped trying, and for all the shit that he's been through, and I want you to know that this kid, is a great kid. He's an honest kid. And again, I won't go into the past, but to see now the response of basically him becoming the people's champion, and a lot of people thought he won, some thought it was a draw. I guess maybe, I don't know if the majority of people thought that Eubank edged it, whatever. Honestly, after what I've seen in there tonight, could not be prouder of that kid. We live for fights like that.
Eddie also shared his thoughts on how the British public has always loved Conor Benn's father, noting that same heart was on full display throughout the fight. Praising Conor Benn, he pointed out that his relentless effort to secure a victory should be adored, admired, and will no doubt be widely talked about. He added that he's prouder than ever to see Conor perform so incredibly.
And the British public loved his dad because he was just full of heart and full of spirit, and a never say die attitude. And that's what you saw from Conor Benn tonight. He should be loved, he should be adored, and I couldn't be prouder.
Just like Eddie, Conor Benn's father, Nigel Benn, also shared his thoughts on the fight. While he expressed pride in his son, he admitted it didn't go the way he had expected. He acknowledged seeing glimpses of himself in Conor during the bout and went on to praise Chris Eubank Jr. for delivering a stronger performance.
I was proud of him. Very, very close fight. Very, very close fight. Not going to go on about the decision. It could have gone either way. Chris done better in the later rounds, which I was very impressed with. What else can I say? Just a good fight. Just looking forward to the rematch now.
Nigel also expressed that his focus is now firmly on the rematch. Acknowledging how Chris Eubank Sr. has been critical of his son's weight, he suggested that Conor Benn is in perfect shape for his division. He confirmed that the rematch would take place at 160 and confidently stated that this time, his son will truly prove his dominance over Chris Eubank Jr.
So, no point in going back down to 147. Stay at 160, get the rematch, win the rematch, and then drop back down to 147. I think, I see a lot of Conor in me, but he's actually the better version, but he didn't show it tonight because he was winging a lot of punches in, going on the ropes, but he'll learn from that.
The post-fight reactions also highlighted the incredible bond between Conor Benn and his father, Nigel Benn. While Nigel spoke about re-watching the fight to understand what went wrong, Conor joked about not living up to expectations, to which his father responded with a light-hearted remark of his own. Nigel then firmly stated that they'll be heading back to the gym for a focused 12-week camp to ensure nothing goes wrong in the upcoming rematch.
But I see a lot of me in here, a lot of similarities.
While the world has been blown away by the performances of both fighters, Derek Chisora, alongside Gareth A. Davies, also shared his thoughts. Praising how both men performed, he admitted that watching them fight even changed his old perception. He noted that Conor Benn, despite not securing the victory, elevated his father's legacy even further with the heart and spirit he showed in the ring.
Chisora, over to you, mate. With the one and only, the marvellous, the beautiful Derek Chisora. What a night we witnessed. You've had these nights. What an incredible fight, Derek.
Conor, Chris delivered. I say this before. I was like, whoever loses this fight is gonna tarnish the dad's name. Nah. He can walk out there. Conor can walk out there, head up high. You know, go home to his family safe and sound. The way he boxed and the way Chris boxed was unbelievable. You know, we were just like, we enjoyed the fight. Do you understand?
Backing his stance, Gareth also pointed out that Conor Benn was a major reason the fight turned out to be such a great spectacle, highlighting how Conor kept coming forward relentlessly, with Chris matching the energy. Derek also expressed his astonishment. He went on to say that he's now eagerly looking forward to a rematch as soon as possible.
We enjoyed the fight.
I said it myself just on broadcast just now. Conor made the fight by keeping on coming, Chris gave everything. Chris Senior turned up on the night. It had everything, didn't it?
Lastminute.com. We call him lastminute.com. He turned up. But all I want to say is, oh my goodness.
Gareth A. Davies also spoke highly of the fight, praising it with clear admiration. He noted that the bout left no doubts, and even Chris Eubank Jr.'s father seemed astonished by how it all unfolded. He commended Eubank Sr. for showing up to support his son, and went on to say that he would be watching the fight again and again. Such was the lasting impression it left on him.
Absolutely, it delivered in droves. I don't want the dust to settle quite yet. I want to really go back, I want to watch it again. I want to savour it, because that was special. There were lots of doubters about this. There were lots of doubters about the weight discrepancy. Christopher Eubank Sr. was one of them. He turned up.
I was one of them.
It was amazing to be a part of. Let me say that, and a pleasure to work with all of you tonight.
Spencer Oliver also pointed out that the family feud, the rivalry, the egos, and the will to win were all key elements behind the fight. What truly blew him away, however, was the weight discrepancy, yet both fighters still managed to battle with such aggressive intensity. He described it as the best British boxing experience. For Spencer, the 11th and 12th rounds were the most spectacular part of the entire fight.
Give me your initial thoughts, Spence.
Listen, let's be honest, we're all blown away by that, weren't we? I mean, did we expect it to turn out the way that it did? Look, the bloodline runs deep, we know that, and we know the history and the feud and the egos that were on the line and the will to win, but we never expected that. We got guys here, there's weight divisions for a reason. We got a welterweight boxing and middleweight, a seasoned middleweight, world-class middleweight, boxing a welterweight that's never even competed at the British level, and he's delivered. And the kid's been through a lot over the last 2.5 years with those failed drug tests and, you know, the inactivity and all of that. So we did not think that we would get the spectacle we got. But Steve, we were actually both blown away, weren't we? We were sitting there looking at it going, 11th and 12th round was the best 11th and 12th round that I've seen.
It was more than just a fight.
Steve Collins shared his amazement, noting how this family feud truly delivered a great boxing spectacle. He praised both fighters, highlighting how they transformed into warriors in the ring and gave the boxing world one of the finest fights in history, not only breaking records, but also delivering top-tier performances.
These are two young men representing their family, representing history, thinking that if it didn't work out, that they had to live with the future of letting the family down. This wasn't just a match between two opponents. This was two families fighting with pride. And those two young men, those two warriors, gladiators, they both dug down deep. They took their best shots. They took best shots. They came back. They fought right to the end. It's an absolute great fight. They fought with pride, determination, and they wanted to win because they were fighting for their history, their family history, and it was just an amazing event. It was one of the best fights I've seen for a long, long time.
And that's a wrap on one of the most electrifying family feuds in boxing history. Both Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. have given us a fight we won't forget anytime soon, showcasing heart, determination, and an unforgettable display of skill. If you enjoyed this epic battle, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more breakdowns and all the latest in the world of boxing. Stay tuned, because the rematch is just around the corner, and you won't want to miss it.